Welcome to the luncheon edition of news as produced by Triple N for today, Thursday, 25th August 2022. The luncheon edition comes to you through the auspices of Flow. Coming up in the headlines, locally, securing another location for neglected vehicles. Regionally, in Trinidad and Tobago, scrap iron dealers set up protest against export ban. Internationally, Biden forgives millions of student loans. And let's not forget, we have the latest in sports. Stephanie Taylor scores unbeaten 33 to lead Guyana Amazon Warriors women to 5-wicket win over Barbados Royals women in the 60. I'll have the details for you when I return.
Northern News Network. First in news, reviews, and interviews.
Now more than ever, Flow is working hard to keep you connected to the things that matter most. Your family, your work, and your favorite entertainment. We are also providing Flow Study free of charge so students can stay connected and up to date with their schoolwork. And because your safety is our highest priority, you can manage your account from the safety of your own home through the MyFlow app. We are here for you, keeping you connected.
Welcome back. I am Don Ezra Francois. The Grenada Solid Waste Management Authorities currently operates a scrap metal facility at Queen's Park. They secured an agreement for another property in which scrap metal would be built here on island. Earlier in the year, the authority and its partners embarked on the neglected vehicle cleanup campaign, where they have the responsibility of laying foundation for the proper processing of scrap metal to customers. Alan Gilbert, Integrated Resource Manager at the authority, said that he identified another site where baling can be done and would mitigate some of the problems.
Currently, we have one site under operations, and we have just secured the next site. So the site we currently operate from is the old central garage at the Grenada Bureau of Standards, at the rear of the Grenada Bureau of Standards. So we have been operating there. We've had some of our own challenges. I believe in the near future, we could see the operations ramped up. We could, with the new location that we're getting, and hopefully with an agreement that we're waiting on, that should be ratified and signed by the administration, that would allow us to bring the private partner in who would assist with the setup of collection depots and processing. We should see increase in the collection and baling.
Operational structures to improve the facility at Queen's Park was done by the authority, while the scrap metal is still in their hands.
The market for scrap metals is very volatile. So when the market is up, the recyclers, they will try to ship as quickly as possible to capitalize. But when it's down, they will try to stockpile the bales. And so that is where the problem arises, by they having stockpiles. Some in bales, when it's in a bale form, it's not that bad. But when it's just pieces and bits and pieces of scrap, it is kind of unsightly, and then it poses some of the environmental health challenges. So we've had, we've started our operations, and we've had some little issues, but we've managed to bring some regulation to the way we carry the operations out at the Queen's Park. And so we're hoping that it's going to be done in a very sanitary manner, and in a from a very structured approach point of view.
Implementation Minister Honorable Andy Williams visited the St. John's River Flood Mitigation Project. We get more in this Rakisha St. Louis report.
Minister for Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation Honorable Andy Williams conducted his first official site visit to the St. John's River Flood Mitigation Project on Wednesday. Minister Williams was accompanied by consultant Beston Consulting, contractors Sunrise Construction and Creative Designs, and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of MIT, Ms. Perron Johnson. He said the purpose was primarily to get an update from the consulting team and contractors, but more importantly, to chart the way forward.
The project has been broken up into different stages, right? We have, from our different packages, so to speak, from package 1 to 7. And we have observed so far what has been taking place. And both Sunrise Construction and Creative Design are responsible for doing the actual construction of the river road the walls and so, that will keep out the water. And we have Beston as the consultants. And everything seems to be going well. They explained everything, what they were doing to us. And so far, we are satisfied. We have identified the bottlenecks that have to be cleared up. We have identified the status of the project. And right now, we are seeing how we can move forward in terms of implementing the project in a timely manner.
The flood mitigation project consists of 7 packages. Packages 1 and 2 were awarded to Creative Designs. Infrastructural work on packages 3 and 4 were completed by Sunrise Construction Company. Minister Williams says his ministry will ensure that the tendering process for the other packages can be done.
We have certain parts that needs to be tendered, and in the aim to do it quickly, my ministry will see what we can do to fast track the process so that this project doesn't take too much time. The works involve, one is the main road, one there's a bridge by steel area. We are going to remove the bridge by steel and put it a little higher by where the hump is. Also, we are going to move the original bridge, the humpback bridge to go to the stadium. We are going to move that one and bring it a little lower down again. So all these are things that we have to tender, and we know that we have local companies that can do the job, and we will be rooting for them to get a job to be done. And we have full confidence in them to do it promptly and in an effective manner.
Thank you, Rikisha. This concludes the local segment of the news as produced by Triple N. The sports is up next.
First, fast, and factual. You are totally covered by Triple N.
Now more than ever, Flow is working hard to keep you connected to the things that matter most. Your family, your work, and your favorite entertainment. We are also providing Flow Study free of charge so students can stay connected and up to date with their schoolwork. And because your safety is our highest priority, you can manage your account from the safety of your own home through the MyFlow app. We are here for you, keeping you connected.
Good day, sporting fans. I am your presenter, CJ. Regionally, in cricket, former West Indies women captain Stephanie Taylor scored an unbeaten 33 to lead the Guyana Amazon Warriors women to a 5-wicket victory over Barbados Royals women in the 60 women's competition in St. Kitts on Wednesday. Taylor hit 4 fours and a 6 from the 24 balls she faced as Guyana Amazon Warriors scored 59 for 1 from 8 overs to reply to Barbados Royals women's score of 58 from 9.3 overs. Opener Rashida Williams scored an unbeaten runner ball 22 in an unbroken 57-run match, winning second wicket partnership. The only wicket to fall was that of Shamari Athapathu, who was run out for 1. Sherilyn Fraser took the remarkable figures of 3 of 6 from 2 overs, and Ayabanga Kaka 1 of 8 as the Amazon Warriors bundled Royals women out for just 58. Chloe Tyrone, who scored 24 from 17 balls, was the only batter in double figures for the Royal women. West Indies women captain Hayley Matthews made 7. The victory was the second of the day for the Guyana's franchise. Earlier, Taylor scored 24 and Williams 29 in a 15-run victory over the Trinbago Knight Riders women. GAW women scored 81 for 2 and restricted TKR to 66. The Royal Women did win a match on Wednesday, scoring 108 for 4 and restricted TKR to 80 for 3. On the international scene, in basketball, the Los Angeles Lakers are finalizing a trade to acquire Patrick Beverley from the Utah Jazz, according to reports. Beverley previously spent 4 years in Los Angeles when representing the Clippers between 2017 and 2021, before impressing the Minnesota Timberwolves last campaign. The 34-year-old was influential in the Timberwolves' run to the Western Conference playoffs, where they were beaten by the Memphis Grizzlies before heading to Utah as part of their trade for 3-time All-Star Rudy Gobert in July. However, according to a report from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Beverley is on the move again as the Lakers look to improve a team whose defense ranked 21st in the NBA last season. Beverley, who was a second-round pick for the Lakers in the 2009 draft before being traded, averaged 6.7 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 1.7 assists throughout the 2021-2022 campaign. Guard Talon Horton Tucker and forward Stanley Johnson are reportedly set to head to Utah as part of the deal, with the Lakers attempting to bounce back after missing out on the playoffs last term. The Lakers also agreed to a 2-year contract extension worth $97.1 million with LeBron James last week, ending speculation over the 37-year-old's future. And that's sports for you. I was your presenter, CJ. Thank you for listening.
After this commercial break, international news will be next on this station.
Now more than ever, Flow is working hard to keep you connected to the things that matter most: your family, your work, and your favorite entertainment. We are also providing Flow Study free of charge so students can stay connected and up to date with their schoolwork. And because your safety is our highest priority, you can manage your account from the safety of your own home through the MyFlow app. We are here for you, keeping you connected.
On the international scene, President Joe Biden said the U.S. government will forgive 10,000 student loans for millions of debt-saddled former college students, keeping a pledge he made in the 2020 campaign for the White House. Here are the details.
I made a commitment that would provide student debt relief, and I'm honoring that commitment today. Using the authority Congress granted the Department of Education, we will forgive $10,000 in outstanding federal student loans. In addition, students who come from low-income families, which allowed them to qualify to receive a Pell Grant, will have their debt reduced to $20,000. Both of these targeted actions are for families who need it the most. Working and middle-class people hit especially hard during the pandemic, making under $125,000 a year. An entire generation is now saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for an attempt, at least, at a college degree. The burden is so heavy that even if you graduate, you may not have access to the middle-class life that the college degree once provided. Many people can't qualify for a mortgage to buy a home because of the debt they continue to carry. They carry, it's too high. They can't come up with the down payment anyway. A lot of folks are even putting off starting families because of the cost. And the dream of starting your own business is just way off in the distance with the debt that so many are saddled with. Many of you had to leave school because the financial strain was much too high. About a third of the borrowers have debt but no degree, and worst of both worlds. The cost of education beyond high school has gone up significantly. The total cost to attend a public four-year university has nearly tripled in 40 years. Tripled. Those Pell Grants used to cover 80% of the cost of going to a public four-year college. Today, Pell Grants cover roughly 32%.
Staying in touch with what happens in the region means you're staying with Triple N. Congratulations on making the perfect choice.
Now more than ever, Flow is working hard to keep you connected to the things that matter most: your family, your work, and your favorite entertainment. We are also providing Flow Study free of charge so students can stay connected and up to date with their schoolwork. And because your safety is our highest priority, you can manage your account from the safety of your own home through the MyFlow app. We are here for you, keeping you connected.
Welcome back to Regional Developments. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Scrap Iron Dealers Association staged a peaceful protest which snarled the traffic along the Sir Solomon Highway on Wednesday. This is the latest form of resistance from the group since the government's decision to suspend the exportation of scrap iron. We get more in this report.
Honking horns, trucks blaring music, and scores of crawling vehicles was the manner the TT Scrap Iron Dealers Association chose to express their anger. The action was prompted by government's decision to halt the export of scrap metal for 6 months. The association's membership was joined by the Movement for Social Justice, the Steelworkers Union, and the Joint Trade Union Movement. President of JTAM, Ansel Roger, reminded government that there is still room for compromise.
His attack on this industry is an attack on women and children. And we call on them this morning to revisit this decision. Revisit this decision to allow for peace to prevail, to allow for these law-abiding citizens to continue to earn a living.
President of the Steelworkers Union, Christopher Henry, said government's intention with the ban is to cripple the industry so others could take it over.
It is projected that the scrap industry is going to rise to $670 billion globally by 2027, rising from $411 billion last year.
Initially carded to end in Port of Spain, the protest action eventually ended in Aranjuez after the protesters were told by the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service they did not have the necessary permission to enter the capital city.
This wraps up the luncheon edition of news as produced by Triple N for today, Thursday, 25th August 2022. I have been your presenter, Don Ezra Francois. Thank you for joining us.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, you could decide to open bat or open bowl. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, or any topical issue of the day. We speak about it. And we encourage you to express yourself. Grenada is a unique country. We have a lot good going for us. I think one of the biggest challenges we have is the question of confidence in ourselves. And we have government free up the telecommunication system. So we have a lot of radio stations. We have social media. And we are able to seek information, get information, and ask the questions that we want. The number to call is 4420175. We remember we are on Sister IL station in Kariakou. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and the best thing is to tell your partner and a friend about us. But I particularly invite parents to let their children listen to me. The only reason I'm on radio is because I'm dissatisfied with the productivity level in schools. And I believe we could change things. I'm one of the individuals who believe that we could change things in the society. And I welcome your suggestions at all times. Today, while I'll wait on you, I do agree with the trade union movement. I've listened to the public relation officer of the Public Workers Union vis-a-vis on the issue in terms of victimization of workers. And she made a lot of good points, but her last statement, I take strong objection to it. I think it is fundamental, and I think it's significant. She questioned the professionalism of the people in sensitive jobs, she said, in 2008. I don't know where she was in 2008. I don't know what gives her the authority, the right, the justification to question her own members' professionalism in 2008. I heard Lennox, Toes, can't remember, his Andrew. He's now the minister, I think, of some big post in government. I heard he made some comments. I was dissatisfied with it, but I say, on target, keep quiet, stay calm. He believed that the unprofessionalism of the people in finance then contributed to the government inability to pay salary timely. And the NDC social media warriors, the prince of hate, and the enemies of progress run with it. I take objection to the brother because he was a senior member of finance, a senior member of the Ministry of Finance. How could you make a statement like that? Governments always struggle. There are times when government always struggle to pay salary timely. Now, governments don't normally mess with public officers, monthly officers, because these are the officers that can cripple the economy. So that in 1971, 72, 73, somewhere during the period of Eric Gary, workers used to get salary every last Friday in the month. And there come a time, I think sometime it was somewhere September, October, November, when government did not have the ability to pay salary timely. And when, as soon as the month end, the workers strike. And from then on, Gary reminded them that they're supposed to get paid on the last of the month. So he started to pay them on the last of the month. And that Christmas, that year, that Christmas, they didn't pay salaries. So government always struggle. What government, smart governments come around and make sure that people who work on a monthly basis get their pay. But sometimes the people who work fortnightly don't get paid. And the pensioners don't get paid. And the people who provide service to government don't get paid. But you must pay the monthly workers, otherwise they go strike. It so happened that the National Democratic Congress, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Afternoon.
Yes, my caller, welcome.
Yeah, I don't understand. What is the traveling allowance for the ministers? It was $600.
I don't know. The public in the public service, workers get $412 basic, and they get $1.75 per mile. And some people have a level they could reach. They have a ceiling. But I don't know what the politicians used to get.
Okay.
Yes, scholar?
After $600, and I see that where they say the prime minister raised it to 2,000.
I think this is a very dangerous move. Yes, scholar, thank you. I think the prime minister, showing a high level of immaturity. He's showing a high level of not understanding some basic institutional knowledge. He should have known before what is a traveling issue and make it an issue on the political platform. It sounds really juvenile and rudimentary and immature for you to just come and you're showing dissatisfaction about your pay. Dr. Kit Mitchell begged politicians, make certain you organize yourself because you go in politics, because politics do want money. That is why he encouraged Tobias to go and study. That is why he thought that the gentleman in Karekuno had a good potential, but he must develop himself and study. That is why most of the individuals on the government went and furthered their studies. When Delma lost election, and she's a model, she's a unique case, she's a template, is an individual the community should admire based upon her social and cultural circumstances. After she lost election, she went and studied, continued her studies, and I think now she have a master's. He always encouraged them to improve yourself. So you enter politics because you were following the Prince of Hate, and you believe that the politicians was getting a windfall. They was making money. I, on my program for a number of years, appealed to politicians. You cannot afford to depend on the money you're getting from government because politician salaries are not high. So the prime minister and his team is displaying a high level of selfishness. And it does not understand the consequences of what they're doing. It appears self-force, self-second, self-taught. You just reach in government. What did you do? You go after the poor of the poor. You go after the most marginalized people in Grenada. You did it in Grenada too, but Carriacou make more noise. You gave people letters. You victimized them because of political affiliation. You forgot Eric Williams in Trinidad. When they told Eric Williams that the Calypsonians singing about him, Eric Williams said, he take out the hair, he did. He said, let the jackass break. The Calypsonians still sing a song and say, let the jackass break. At that time, teachers was not supposed to take part in Calypso and attack government like that. They go back, they complain to Eric Williams. Eric Williams say, take out the hearing aid. Over the years, public officers in politics has always been an issue. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. You have to speak a little louder.
You send home, right? Okay, you don't pay them. Right? They pay them, they work for 10, 15, 20 some years. You send them home, you don't know what to do, and that somebody to look after. But yet you just come in, you're raising the allowance, travel allowance for ministers, and you don't do that for only one sector. And you see what the thing I read there? People supporting that. They're supporting the wrong thing, that the injustice that you're doing towards the poor class of people. And nothing that we always like to say, like, Grenada is a Christian country. But then the purpose of a government, you have to look after the poor people. Who you don't only want the people who vote for you. When you are elected as a government to govern, you're elected to govern everyone. Those who did not vote for you, those who vote for you, you have to reach out and make their life better. Right? You make life better. Not only who support you, because a government, you're not a government of one set of people. You're a government for all the people Great Caribbean PT Martin. So I want to call upon the government to look into the matter, see the people that are home, they have a family. Listen, that when wrong is wrong, I will say it is wrong, and I will stand up against the injustice that are done towards workers. Yes, I saw the road gang go. That's good. I congratulate the government for sending out the road gang back on the road to clean the roadside, because the roadside is difficult for incoming vehicles. That you cannot see people inside. You hard to recognize vehicles when they come. So that is good. I think kudos to the government for that. But when they did wrong, you have to stand up and speak about the wrong thing that they do.
Yes, caller, thank you. You see, one of the challenges we have is that the government, a group of people, because the National Democratic Congress was in a lot of trouble, a group of people come, put themselves, and take over or elected or whatever, the National Democratic Congress, but nobody know what's their position or their philosophies. And because they have very little understanding about the institutions, education, the institutions, they're making some very rudimentary mistakes. In addition to that, they themselves is not grounded. They're not very much grounded in some of the issues that we consider important for the poorer people in the country. And that's one of the challenges. So the government is finding some roundabout route to throw out individuals who they believe are NNP, green blood, because they're using a political reasons under the public service rules and regulation. And that is why I go to Chuck Doss in Trinidad. Because when Chuck Doss was singing Calypso, some people objected. As a teacher, Eric Williams said, let the jackass bray. But Chuck Doss sing a song again, let the jackass bray. It tormenting the duck. So they go back and they complain. The doc say he take out the hearing aid. Maybe this is why it is the maturity of Kit Mitchell that he never bothered with the Grenadian Calypsonian much. Whether it was Scholar or Beast, who only generally attack or persuade Kit Mitchell. Because he knew, based upon precedent, based upon tradition, based upon circumstances. And people have to understand that the public service has changed significantly over the years of the colonial times. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes,
Go right ahead, caller.
Yeah, you mentioned about because remember for the last Kalama when about from he's on Kid Mitchell and NMP. And it's back, he get promotion for that. He end up putting make him appear. So they didn't find out why they didn't change him. They promote it for him, but this what was going on is wrong. I know. The other a whole bunch of seaweed was going on. With the bar shop and one guy say, what by you got seaweed? So one of them guy asked, well, because Jesus, you know, he say because Jesus say he could stop all these things on him, you know. Well, I had to say, well, now he's not in the island, but I think he must do no. It's a bunch of when it's necessary, you can make it sure, but not everywhere you have meeting, you just going. So this is the money help and give somebody they work on the side of the road, man. He said every meeting has something, always go there, you always out of the country, enjoying that ride on them. Now, you get time you go to do Zoom call because some other country doing Zoom call. Just save some money, man. Not because meet like a change, man. Just always you have meeting, just they open all over the place. Yeah, that's that. And the public service thing, and what I understand is that the people in the boards and them they making the boards for now and all that thing. I understand. They say I don't hear, but I hear somebody saying, but they take their own politician and make them in charge of the board. But I can remember you saying they just put it on their face to say, well, everybody apply and say, you see, you're fair because it put an application. I can remember you were saying that in a program one day. And I know I hear that the same party men come and always put that up at that beat outside. It make no sense because I already know who get me work already. So it's a pay you have a good day. Take care.
Yes, caller. And I think but even our journalists, I don't think they really understand the public service. And sometimes I wonder if the trade union is contributing to the problems that the workers had. And that's why I started on the public relation officer of the trade union, Hazard, in the statement she made. She questioned the professionalism of the people in a sensitive position, she said. She gave the impression that NDC should have transferred some people and they leave the door open. And I remember the statement made by Lennox Andrew. When he questioned the professionalism, he believed that individuals in the Ministry of Finance sabotage NDC that contributed to their inability to pay salary on a timely manner. I was so disappointed in my brother Lennox that I decided to shut my mouth because I like politicians. I know they has make much mistake when they're on the platform and they say things that doesn't take them on too readily. Because sometimes when you hot, even me on the radio, sometimes when you open your mouth going faster than your brain. So I say, well, Lennox, mouth go faster than the brain. But all these, the enemies of progress, the prince of hate, the social media warriors, they took that as a justification that officers sabotage the government in 2008 after the 2008 election. And now the public relation of officer is implying the same thing. I want to remind her that these people are your members. You, as a union, you can't go attacking your members publicly. If the union felt that, the union should call in the members and have a little discussion with them and remind them of their professionalism. Sometimes it's very difficult for public officers in senior position. And I'm going to give you a strange example to try to make you understand. Let us suppose this government now, one of their members go to China and they present a project. That's what politicians do. They beg for something. And the agency or the government that they asked, they wanted vital information. So the minister could, only way he could get that information is from the technical people. And because he knew the only person he could call is the permanent secretary. So when he stays in China and call the permanent secretary, and when the permanent secretary get the message, because of the time zone, it might be 1 o'clock in the morning, he wake up while she lie down near she man. And he's speaking to her to get information. And he have to deliver a paper tomorrow. When she check the time, she just have about 6 or 7 hours to give him the information that he wants. And she don't have it. She have to get up now and go call a technical officer. Let's say in the farm machinery pool to get that information. So between that time, 1 o'clock in the morning and 8 and 9 when he have to make that presentation, 4 or 5 public officers might have been involved by telephone. Imagine working with these ministers and them for 5 years. There would be such a good working relationship that the public could interpret it as politics. And all it is, you find good, strong public officers that will work with anybody. Now, if you're in Tong Long, you can remember people like Gloria Payne Banfield. I hope somebody could call me. This one, she name slip out. I can't remember her name, but she in Tong Long. I think she's still alive. Gloria Payne Banfield was one of Eric Gary, used to travel with Eric Gary, one of the speech writers for Eric Gary. But she worked in the revolution at the top position. And then she worked with the NDC and the NNP because they are public officers. A permanent secretary is an insulator between the politician and the ordinary worker. So a lot of times we just sit down outside the public and say, this person, I see she's smiling near the minister, so she's an NNP. This is the people you interact with on a daily basis. Now, when the union is adding the doubt, the misgiving, and saying the NDC left the back door open, so they should have changed sensitive officers. You are the workers' representative. You can't do that. You ought not to do that. That is when union leaders get tied up in the party politics rather than the union politics. There's a line of demarcation, you know. Unionism is about politics because you interfere with policies and you constantly interact with the politician. But your clientele is the workers, not the political party. Your clientele is the workers. Your association with the political party is because of your interest in your workers. Nothing is wrong for a union to encourage the workers to vote for a particular political party. But based upon how the union behave, how a union could be accusing the members for unprofessionalism. I would really like this public relation officer of the Public Workers Union, I think her name is Hazard or something. Where were you in 2008? Why didn't you, if you was in a position, engage those workers and say you are being unprofessional and this is not supposed to be? You know, now you have a government that come and the Prince of Hate enveloped this government. And he played such an important part in the selection and nuclear material of the NDC. That the NDC, you just win election on the 23rd of June. By the 25th of June, you're giving out lists who performing and who command. You ought not to do that. And while you're doing that, the members of the government looking to raise their pay. What happened to you? All on drugs or something? Are you crazy? You cannot do that. You ought not to do that. 1 year, 2 years down the road is all right. But immediately, and this have a rippling effect in the country, that some people asking about raising everybody pay. Well, there must be some criteria for minimum wage and increasing salary. One of them is ability to pay. Another one is the market, the demand for labor on the market. Well, if you just had Grenada and the rest of the world and the Caribbean experience the worst pandemic in the last 100 years, Russia and Ukraine have a war going on that is seriously affecting food and energy. And it's likely that it will have continued increase in the price of food and energy. China seems to want to attack Taiwan. And America and they want war. Under this environment, you're fighting to raise pay. You still have high unemployment. And the way the previous government deal with the high unemployment is to have the best social safety net program in the region. So the poor of the poor would not have to lie on the ground, but they could lie on a piece of sponge on the ground. You come now, and your first priority is to victimize people and deny them income. And you call that, and the Attorney General herself, I don't know, she's not the smartest lawyer around. I've heard a number of utterances from her, and she might have a briefcase, a certificate, but she not seems to be very smart where political issues is concerned. You must understand this social safety net program in Grenada is because of the high unemployment. If you have high unemployment among the younger folks, you're more likely to have social decay, robbery, stealing, hooliganism, prostitution, incest, rape. All these things tend to tie up with people unable to have income. So this is one of the programs. So if you want to transform the country, then how do you displace people? And you want to take income from them. And you are not doing it because you don't have money, because presently the Ministry of Finance, the best performing ministry in the country is finance. The people who work in finance have to be applauded. They have improved significantly over the years. Our boy Timmy, that's we start from the Ministry of Finance. He's in the central bank in the OECS. I'm glad you bring back Richard Duncan, although you were cussing old people. Richard Duncan leave his service, I think, since 1995. So he's an old man to know you retire. But it's that you have, so I'm glad you bring him back. He's an old man. Because he's good too. I have the highest respect for him. So how could you be doing that? It means that the government is not listening to the team they set up as the trans. They set up a group of people, not advisors, And the government have to give us information of these people. I said I would wait 6 months down the road. The transition team. So it means this transition team is not advising you correctly. This level of rudimentary blunders you are making. It means this transition team, you must tell us who are they? How much you paying them? How much individual is involved in one ministry? Did you have a transition team for Carriacou? Otherwise, all these blunders could make. Do you have a transition team for education? I think this is the one our sister Franca I think her name was calling it. I'm not certain. So you have to tell us. These are not mistakes that we should make in 2022. It seems that you're on a vengeance trail. And some of you social media warriors glad. They're laughing because some people not working, so they're rejoicing. How that could be? That's not something you want in your country. The government have to expand, grow the economy, so more people will be employed. You don't want people to lose their job because of victimization, political victimization. What you want to do is to grow the economy so more people will be employed. We have to understand an issue that the all governments, I think I said that yesterday, have the tendency to overload the public service. Because politicians under immense pressure to create jobs. We have a lazy private sector. So the private sector is not living up to the expectation. Even though you provide the incentive for them, our private sector is principally a family private sector. By the time the parents get incapacitated or old, the business done. Because we don't have second and third generation children in business. I know you might not believe me. So you must start to do some observation. Look around in your community and write to the tongue and see if there is any business that you see children involved in. Normally, when the parents have a business, the children don't get involved. Because the public say the children, the businessman wicked, he dealing, he thieving, and the children can't stand that. So they either bust the parents' business or they leave it and go in New York and sweep floors, walk dog, and do other work. You don't have to believe me. Check all those businesses in Sotes, in Grenville, in St. George's. Business that was, in Grenville in particular, most of the business was owned by our people. But all the children abandon the business and they go away. And the parents mining them in America. They didn't big up her. The parents mining them up there. And some of them never educate themselves. So they either do some little janitor work or they go to an agency to take care of people's children. And that is good for the people. Imagine somebody is a principal of a school here taking care of a child in New York City. That child go bright as smoke. And sometimes she leaves her child here and sending back Josie with number. The child go to school, you don't know, A, B, ab. And when she hear police arresting him, she send for him. And a few years, the police send him back in grader. Bandit. And the parents here was young millionaires. So the business sector in Grenada is not developing to absorb the labor. So government is left with that burden. Now, when the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank look at your economy, one of the things that they come up repeatedly is that the public service in Grenada is overloaded. That is why government have a public service and they practically have a parallel service contract. Now, these trade union leaders ought to know our history. They ought to know. If you want to go into trade union, you must study all the fathers and what are some of the fundamental things they stood for. So this is why after 1984, 83 after Maurice Bishop was executed, by 1984, we had 1 year the interim. The International Monetary Fund and the Americans assisted the government to give workers what they call a golden handshake. The government had bad legal advice. So they retrenched even people in their 20s. And I think it was Derek Knights that took the case. All the unions had lawyers. The union lawyers tell the union, nothing wrong with that, it is legal. I think Derek Knights took the case and he won the case. And the government had to pay everybody they retrenched under 84.8, I believe, as if they reached the age of 60. So people 20 years then on full pension still. So even when the National Democratic Congress come on with the homegrown structural adjustment program, they too had to retrench workers. But now they freed the union. So the National Democratic Congress, which have the natural tendency to go after the poor and the unfortunate and the unsuspecting, they retrench the workers in the lower echelons of society. The workers on the government estate, the propagator, and these areas. And they cut social program. And they balance the book. And they get some money. And then a few years again, trouble again. And Kit Mitchell come on the scene. And that was soon after the International Monetary Fund come out in Greece. And the whole third world is alarmed. They were alarmed at what going on in Greece. Then the IMF come in Grenada. And Dr. Kit Mitchell decided he would not retrench any worker. No workers must lose their job. We must not cut salary. And we must increase in social spending. And that is, the IMF agree with Grenada. But he tell the IMF, every 10 workers that leave the public service, we're going to bring in 3. 10, you know, when you drink in bed, they say 3 for 1. Because Kit Mitchell is going to buy, I believe he come up with that. Every 10 workers that leave the service, we're going to bring in 3. But you use that, not natural attrition, but we have to use that type of attrition to manage the public service. But here you have a whole heap of people unemployed. So the government start to contract out workers, do contract work. So you're not interfering in the public service, and the contract work outside would depend on the amount of money you get from agencies, excesses, etc., etc., etc. Now the unions must be aware of that. Now this government come in, and he knew not a clue about what's going on. So he decided, yes, we're going to employ everybody. We're going to make everybody permanent. We're going to make all the money permanent. Oh, yes. We're going to legalize marijuana immediately. We will pay the pension. Oh, yes, we will do that. Now, this is crazy. And during the time he was saying that, I have been asking, I wonder who is his labor advisor? Because I know he's going to come to harm this country. Not him. He's going to harm the country. Now he embarrassed the union, you know. What happened is the government embarrassed the union. The union must open their mouth because they were embarrassed. Maybe they thought the government would not make it look so political. They would have taken about 5-6 months down the road. They would have blamed NNP for plenty corruption, and they would have taken about 5-6 months down the road to start to fire people. But because of the political juvenile nature of these 9 individuals, because of the lack of understanding of the institution, because of the lack of compassion, because they don't understand what is going on the ground, they go after the poor of the poor. Imagine you're going after people's salary like $1,200 that are working for 17 years. Imagine a woman 54 years working with the elderly. You send her on the farm to cutlass. She going to do agriculture work. You know, everybody go kicks her at 54 years. The muscle she arm give up for that. She could wash and scrub and wipe people bam bam and put on diaper, pampers. But if you give her a cutlass to cut catchy, pick a bush in Karikou, well, you giving a heart attack. So the purpose was not genuine. They know the repercussion, they know the consequences. And I don't think individuals could accept that. You know, the media have to, when I hear some individuals in the media, I'm a little bit disappointed. Because most of them are the children of poor people. Most of the media people, you know, the children is estate children. But they have plenty of certificates, so they believe it elevates them to the social status. I have a doctorate in media, so I'm no longer an ordinary man. I'm now elevated to a status. And people have to understand that not because you have a briefcase or certificate, don't believe you are much sense. And I'll tell you why. Let us suppose you have a guy that is the best electrician in the community. Give him 2 blocks to put up. Sometimes he can't do masonry. And the best mason, he can't even cook for your dog. So not because you have a briefcase or certificate, it doesn't mean you're smart in everything. You might be able to write a better position paper than another person that producing a lot of watermelon. But it doesn't mean you could hunt. And it doesn't mean you know swimology. And sometimes your wife beating you in your head. Or sometimes you have a wife, she tell you, take hand and keep calm. In yesteryear, we will call you a pafuntan. But in this era, we say you are domesticated for public ridicule. So politicians have to stop believing. Because I am highly certificated, it doesn't mean that I have much sense in every area. And the transition team have to make a serious effort to put some stability, to put some sense, to put some compassion, to make these people know they have to show some empathy, and they have to respect the ordinary man. And most of them, and I know most of the individuals in government, poor people, children. They're not authentic tongue people. They're poor people, children. But because they're bright, because they have a briefcase, a certificate, they tend to be extremely arrogant. You see it every day. We just had a case going on with Anderson issue. We have a lawyer representing the Trinidadians. I mean, if he asks, in Ticola, we have a woman they call Ella, Tanti Ella. Everybody afraid her because she more dobless. And when you interfere her, she does fix you. And she fix up Miss Mary so badly that the community tell Miss Mary bring her up. But when Miss Mary bring her up, all Ella do was to cross the charge and bring up Miss Mary too. So when they hear the case and they hear all what Ella say, and Ella acknowledge, yes, I told her that. Miss Mary said, she don't say nothing. Brim, I don't know if you're in tongue long, you must know Brim. That magistrate like cuss case. He used to ask, what the banana boat big like again? And he jumping up. He said he could never believe that Tanti Ella tell Miss Mary all that and she don't say nothing. So he charged both of them. Miss Mary don't say a word, but she still get charged. So Ella say you always cross the charge. Since the devil was a little boy and I was a child, I hear that from Tanti Ella. So the lawyer for the Trinidadian don't know they have to cross the charge and tell the clients not to plead guilty. And while they're doing that, negotiate with the next side to settle it out of court. These lawyers are bright, but they don't have much sense. And now you realize you plead guilty and then you want to go and bring up people for criminal charges. The DPP is correct. That is vexatious to the court. Yes, caller, welcome.
Punch, how you doing?
Yes, my brother.
I have a situation here in Grenada with getting laborers or people to work for you. If you have farmland, you're doing a piece of farming. Before, when we used to cutlass or work for people, like the knights and the other people, we used to use cutlass and cutting in the whole day in the sun. Nowadays, you ask somebody to cut a piece of grass for you, they have weed eater, and they refrain, they're staying away. They don't come in to do the job. But they want you to give them money, and you're always owing them. So they will come and do a piece of work, tell you they come in tomorrow, they don't come back. And they're just playing games. I think much more should be done in terms of labor, farm labor. The government, present government should provide people for people who want to grow crops, vegetables, and let them do farming. That's the point I wanted to make.
Thank you, caller. Caller, we have the most land owners in the entire region. But the labor is a problem. Farmers have to prepare to lobby government to bring in outside labor. You see, Grenadians have to face the reality. The standard of our living in our country is much higher than other countries. and there are work Grenadians would not do, although they're unemployed. Because they could make a cook by the road, eat some food, pelt some stone, and you know. So we have to lobby government to bring in labor. We need about 30,000 people in Grenada. Open our doors to Venezuela and Haiti. Otherwise, you will not able to get labor to work. The minimum wage, in my opinion, for agriculture worker in Grenada is about $15 to $20 an hour. That is what farmers pay. Nobody ain't working easy for you for more than 3 hours. Unless you there and you involved too, and you bring in food, and you have the transport, one amount of things you have to do to get labor. So the hard reality is, if the government want to transform agriculture, because you're using a big word, you know, transformation. I've been asking a lot of farmers what that means. They don't know what it means. And the government don't want you to know what that means. Okay, if you don't know what that means, they could say they did transform. Labor is a serious issue. We have small micro farmers, that some of the crops they're growing, they're not eating it. They want macaroni pie. They want macaroni. They want lasagna. You have a small thing in a box. Can't remember the name. They're like a noodle. You have all different flavor. They want that. They don't want fig and blogger and yam and all them kind of thing. So all the majority of food we eat is imported. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre?
Yes, my brother.
I'm the guy who just called. I just called back. Sorry about that.
Go right ahead.
You're saying that labor is a problem here, but it shouldn't be. When you go around the area, the country especially, and you see young men sit down by the road, I'm not saying that they may go to work and come back and chill out on the block. Most guys do that. They do cows, they do farming, and they come and chill. And in the evening, they go back. But when you look around, people just sitting idly by for the day on the block. These people could get into farming. Government cannot provide jobs for everybody in the country. We have to be self-sustainable, create jobs for ourselves. Look at the amount of land in Livera, Batwe, Shambo, all these areas. They could get work, grow crops, grow melon, and this will cut down on our import bills. The guys, they want work. They come to you. You offer them the job, and they don't finish and they go. And you always owe them. Every time they see you at a rum shop, you owe them.
But you don't pass by the rum shop.
Huh?
Don't pass by the rum shop.
That's how they operate, You always owe them. Mr. Pierre, remember we used to work land before. I'm a young guy, but I used to cut land.
But your voice is sounding like you sound like a man in your 40s, 50s.
I'm 47.
Were you young again? After you reach 47, you're not a young man.
If you're 50, you're a youth,
No. This is what killing us in this country. We have some 20-year-old guys behaving as if they're 11. We have man 25 and 30 years. They don't even have a girlfriend. They don't have a dog. They don't have a cat. They see you're 35 years. By the time you're 38 years, your testosterone levels start to drop. When you reach 47, you start to lose your sting.
Mr. Pierre, 60 years is youth,
No, man. When you're 60 years, you're ready to retire in the public service. Grenada have the youngest retirement age in the Caribbean.
Mr. Pierre, you yourself is a youth,
No, Mr. Old Man. I'm an old man. I have me stick in my vehicle and all my beard gray and they're saying Grandpa and Papa.
You look at you, you're strong, you're healthy.
No, man, when they see me, they say Papa, Grandpa, so they calling me. And if they see a girl near me and she looking as if she's in her 20s, they saying, what you doing with this old Papa? You're a sugar daddy. So Mr. Old Man, I doesn't pretend.
Have a nice day, man.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. No, it's very important in our country. We must not fool ourselves. And I think that is what happened. If you're doing a labor survey, you see a guy on the block and he says unemployed, and you ask him if he was looking for a job, I think for the last year. If he was not looking for a job, you don't count him as unemployed. For you to be unemployed, you have to be looking for a job. Some of our brothers on the block are not looking for jobs. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, ma'am.
If the farmers could organize themselves.
You think the farmers could organize themselves, Chip?
Well, they're supposed
They can't organize themselves.
At a time, they was organized to an extent.
Come on. We have the most land owners, and it's micro farmers we have.
If we could bring back some of the farms that still have 70, 60, 100, 200 acres of land, you could get people to.
Well, we have Belmont Estate.
Yes.
We have Ramdani. I think Ellie Puzzle.
And I show Belmont have about 40 to 50 people.
Well, I don't know how much I have, but what they're doing there?
Well, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm telling you.
It's an interesting thing to ask what they're doing.
Right. If we organize labor and organize the farms that we have, where you have 60 acres of land, 70 acres of land, 100 acres of land, and they're not being worked.
And where are you going to sell the products if the tourist industry is not dynamic?
That is why I said if it's organized.
You see how we attack mercilessly tourism.
Yeah.
But for you to sell your product, you see the problem we have with intra-island travel. So for you to sell your products, you have to have transportation.
That's right.
So unless you have a strong dynamic tourist industry, because your people don't want blogger and fig to eat, they want chicken that was imported to barbecue. When last you see a yard full barbecue in Grenada?
Our export market is important.
Well, how are you going to have export market if you have economy of scale, micro-agriculture, and you do have struggling for intra-island travel, and you're dealing with perishable products?
You know what the problem is? It's not that the people don't want to work.
You think
they don't want to work with a man that when they finish work, he can't pay them, and he pay them to their next week, he tell them, come and make.
What is the minimum salary people pay for agriculture work? What do you think? $45. How much hours they work for you for the day?
Approximately 5 hours.
Somebody give you 5 hours work? I want 10 of them. Tell me I come in and pick them up because you go have a Victoria. They're going to work for you for, you're not getting more than 3 hours work from them. So if it's $45, that's $15 an hour.
But that's why you need organized. That's why you need organized.
Well, let us, now that we have the president, the speaker of the house is active in agriculture with the Nutmeg Board.
Yeah.
The representative is active in Nutmeg Board. The Minister of Agriculture is active in Nutmeg and Cocoa. Yeah. And the National Democratic Congress always have the natural inclination to support NDC. So let me see if they will organize it.
Let us see.
Yeah.
We have to live in hope at this time.
Yeah, of course, we must live in hope and hope that we end up in happy here. Thank you, my brother. Yes, we have a few minutes go. Thank you, and you can give us a few calls. I would like to perhaps during this time, take one or two from somebody say NDC promised to raise salary on merit. I don't think they really understand what that means. You see, that's why I always try to forgive politicians on the political platform. I don't think NDC understand what they mean by raise salary on merit. In the public service, the salary is raised based upon your negotiation, and the unions bargain for who in the team, not on merit. If you're a teacher and they're raising salary and you're in that scale, your salary raise. So it has nothing to do with merit. So what the National Democratic Congress is saying is because of lack of understanding. The unions is not concerned about productivity. They seek the interests of the workers. The National Democratic Congress always try to forge a relationship with the union. And the union has tried, but they embarrassed the union quick this time. They let down the British Empire and they let down the union. They embarrassed them too quick. If they wait for 6 months down the road to start to do this silliness, but I think it's because of the juvenile state of their politics. So I don't think this meriting is just words. Welcome, yeah. And we always welcome people to On Target, and we highly appreciate your contributions. And we on Sister Isle in Kareku, and we also on YouTube. Liz Peters said, farmers selling the produce too expensive. Liz, you have to shop around. If you're waiting for people to come in front of your door to buy product, it will always be expensive. Pumpkin not supposed to sell for more than $1 a pound in Grenada. You're not supposed to buy, and you perhaps could negotiate and buy pumpkin directly from the farmer. What does it cost to produce a pound of pumpkin? But if a man have quarter of an acre land and he plant 3 pumpkin vine grow, and then he want to buy perhaps or fix the house with it, he go sell it expensive. So, Liz, you have to lobby to buy products from farmers, you know? And I think that yam is $5 a pound. You could also get yam for about $3 a pound. The problem is yam is very seasonal. And the next thing, maybe you have to look for a clientele that will pay more. So if you get yam for $5, you make a big fuss about your yam. So your children and your family and the people you sell to know this is top quality product and it's local yam. And you could even tell them what part of the country you grow. So these yam are grown in Ticolo, and Ticolo have the best yam, and the farmers can vouch for it. So sometimes you have to add a little swag to your and think about the marketing in your purchasing. But I agree with you. A lot of products, the farmers don't know what to sell it for, you know? So that is one of the challenge. And as we come to the end of our program, we want to thank you very, very much for our contribution. And remember, we provoke discussion. So we want you to continue the discussion on the issues that might interest you. And we always encourage you to express your views and opinion. And you have an opportunity to punch on our program.
Courage or freedom was gained in homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun. We vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your courage.